All right, make that take number 3, actually. What's up, y'all, my fellow fish? This is another Sweetfish Plays stream, and we got Red Dead 2 for you. We're smack dab in the middle of the epilogue, more specifically part number 2. It's been a while, I must admit. It's been about a week since my last upload. My apologies for that. With Easter and everything else going on, obviously it's hard to find an appropriate time to sit down and do this sometimes. So, no excuses though, we're back. I also wanted to really dedicate a good block of time to at least beginning to delve into the grave sites and some of the random encounters with some of the people that we know from the Van der Linde gang. So, I just want to talk a little bit about some stuff here at the beginning before we jump right in. More specifically, we have story missions. I think we have one story mission available right now, but really before I do that, before I continue the story, I think it is time to just start going to visit some of these graves. You know, they're kind of like collectible missions, but at least, you know, they're very rewarding collectible missions. Just emotionally, I think that they'll be rewarding to kind of go back and go through some of the key characters from the game and, you know, how they kind of had an impact on Arthur or John. You know, and I think it'll bring a lot of closure. I think that there's no better way to bring closure here in the epilogue than to go visit the grave sites and run into some folks that we know. So that's what we're going to begin here today. We'll continue to do some of the wanted posters in different sheriff's offices, but a lot of them are out east towards Saint-Denis, Rhodes, Annesburg, and we have to go out there for a lot of the graves and encounters anyways. So we can definitely hit those up then. And then there's also some stranger missions that I want to address. So we're just kind of cleaning everything up here before we kind of resume anything that's kind of story related. But it's not really extra content. I don't think it's enough to say, hey, this is specifically something to be added to the extra content playlist, because I think it's extremely relevant to the game. I also received a lot of extremely insightful comments about Red Dead 2 once again on my last video. So I just wanted to run through some of this because, like I said, I believe it's very relevant to the game, and more specifically kind of where we're at in the game. So talking a little bit about the moral of the story. We know that Arthur hated revenge, and I have to agree that he likely wouldn't want John to avenge him at the end of the day. And that's huge here, because I've said multiple times throughout this epilogue that you feel kind of when you're playing that your main goal at the end of this all is to avenge Arthur's death. I mean, you play the entire game as Arthur, and then he dies like that, left on a cliff face, beaten to death by Micah, more or less, and left for dead by Dutch, obviously. But at the end of the day, Arthur likely wouldn't want that, and we really enforced that, because throughout our entire game, we made Arthur an extremely likable character. We kind of turned his mind set around a little bit, made him a little bit more of an open-minded character. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to agree that I don't think that he would, at the end of the day, want John to avenge. And I like this quote, alas, you can take a Marston out of the Wild West, but you can't take the Wild West out of him. And we've obviously discussed quite a bit of that too, how even Abigail wants John to just become a rancher, just become a farmer. But John, at the end of the day, he's got that gunslinging mentality in him. And then, yeah, to highlight the moral of the story of both games, the futility and lack of virtue associated with revenge, while portraying the human craving for revenge, regardless of the consequences. I think that, I mean, verbatim there, straight from the comment, but I obviously couldn't say it better myself. We've definitely got a writer amongst us. Very well put. The moral of the story is that the futility and lack of virtue associated with revenge, while portraying the human craving for revenge regardless of the consequences. Well said. Talked a little bit about our like, obviously, for Sadie. She's one of our favorite characters. There was another comment about how Rockstar as a game company really kind of twists the plot and kind of twists your feelings about everything. Let's see if I can find it here. That might have actually been on another video, but when you think about it, this is kind of how it was put. All the characters that you kind of would expect to die in the game end up living, like Charles and Sadie. They're the badasses that are always finding themselves smack dab in the middle of action. But then, the most unusual of people are the ones that end up dying, like Kieran, for example, right? Kind of has this raw innocence to him. So I thought that was extremely important too, when highlighting certain characters. I'm glad that at the end of the game it's Charles and Sadie, because I think that we need more hardcore people around me, than maybe some of the other people. But yeah, definitely another very important highlight there. So I'm just scrolling through a couple things here. I knew that there was a couple things that I really wanted to talk about. I can't remember where I saw that. You know what? Maybe it was in a reply. Not too sure about that. But I think you get my point about how they kind of play with your... There you go. I got it. Rockstar loves to F with our expectations and perceptions of certain characters. Exactly. Lenny and Hosea. Those were two big deaths for me when they happened. And yeah, it absolutely happened suddenly. And, sorry, excuse me. Hosea, especially for me, was not a character that I would expect to just die like that, or Lenny, for that matter. Hosea was such a leader amongst the gang, and seemed to have his head on straight anyways. And no one really expected Charles and Sadie to survive. Great highlight there once again. You can't change where you come from is a quote from me in my last stream. Arthur used his gunslinging ways to change things for the better. Just saying that my portrayal so far of John Marston as sometimes that happens, is accurate. I couldn't agree more, and once again, that's why I go for that kind of mentality, especially when playing the epilogue. I think that was, some of the more important things. Also, just confirming that the entire map from the first game is that piece that's now accessible, minus when we obviously went to Mexico as part of the first game. That kind of went to a different area, a different map. But yeah, all those areas, Armadillo, Blackwater, that's all the map from the original game, which is really, really cool. I knew that the terrain was very, very recognizable. So I think that's some of the most important stuff, some of the stuff that was extremely relevant to the game and kind of where we're at now. I'll load up. So I think we're still kind of down in that southwest Blackwater portion of the map. So we'll do the quick bounty there in Blackwater, but we won't touch the story mission. I guess we'll just kind of go straight to our gravesite. When we get to each of the grave sites, there will be a little blurb, a little monologue. That's what I'm expecting, and then I'll try and provide some insightful information as well about our background with that particular character, and maybe some of the bigger events that transpired throughout the game with that character. And unfortunately, not every character could be represented with a grave. We're going to visit the most important ones. Thankfully, a lot of characters are still alive, like Sadie, like Charles, like we talked about. But Molly O'Shea is an interesting one. She was burned, so she has no grave. She was constantly blamed for being a traitor, but all she did was try to love Dutch van der Linde anyways, and Dutch van der Linde obviously is quite a character to dissect, no doubt, in this game for sure. A very complex character, but really it's a downward spiral mentally for him the further in the game you get. And I think Molly O'Shea was just another victim of Dutch van der Linde at the end of the day. So yeah, definitely a shout out to Molly. Can't remember any specific really standout interactions I had with Molly. I'm sure if you dug deep enough in one of our 77 streams, you would find something. Strauss as well. You want to hear my thoughts a little bit on Strauss. I like this, to keep the comments coming, because interaction with the community is big for me, and it gives me a direction for my stream as well, if that makes any sense. It definitely gives me certain things to focus on, certain things that I should focus on, and certain things that I should not focus on, so I really appreciate that. Strauss, though, I don't know, I guess I kind of always saw Strauss as a dirty player. He took advantage of people whom he knew could not afford to pay the gang back, and then sent Arthur out to do all of his dirty work and look like the bad person, when in reality Arthur was not the bad person. So no, I don't want to give Strauss too much light here, too much fame. Yes, obviously Arthur got his TB as a result of a Strauss mission. I don't feel bad for him at all. I grew so close with Arthur. It was hard to see him kind of go down the tubes towards the end of the game. Sorry, I'm just kind of aimlessly walking around here. I just wanted to address this before we went to the bounty. Who endured torture and death for the gang who expelled him. But think about all the people that Strauss hurt. Let's at least get our cursor set here. Our cursor. Listen to me. Now think about all of the families, all of the people that Strauss impacted. No, I don't feel bad for Strauss at all. Because a lot of people, a lot of peril and disaster. He tore families apart. I'm thinking obviously about the Downs, and more specifically Thomas. I just wanted to... see what chapter the last mission we did one of those missions was with the Downs. It was a while ago. Must have been in chapter 6. There, you're right. So that was about the last time. Yeah, it was a little bit more recent than I thought. Anyways, Edith Downs, and then I'm pretty sure it was her husband Thomas Downs that Arthur beat. And got the TB, so I mean that's a huge plot point in the game, and I mean I think that's reason alone for me to not give a single crap about Strauss. We spent over 100 hours easily with Arthur. I mean, he becomes your friend, so Strauss can go F himself. And he deserves everything that is coming his way, including, for the rest of his life. He messed with a lot of people. He was a bad man. I think Dutch it was maybe truly a good man at one point, but then turned bad, but maybe didn't know how bad he was turning. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But Strauss, on the other hand, I feel like he with his high intellect, I feel like he knew all along how many people he was screwing. I think that he's just a mastermind who masterminded a really evil plot, to put it in the most simplest terms. Maybe Dutch isn't the best example of a person to compare Strauss to. But that's how I feel.
I hope you're looking for another bounty, because we're after that outlaw on the wall there.
All right, we'll jump right in. Whoops, to our next bounty. Herman Zizendorf, wanted for fraud, deceiving an officer of the law, and multiple counts of theft. He's a tall build, bushy mustache, and brightly colored clothes. He has a vaccination scar on an upper left arm. What? Wart on index finger and flat feet. Oh yeah, those are all extremely identifying features. Alright.
Say hello to that no good from
Out of the
me.
damn way!
Me
estás
estás encabronando.
So he's actually in Blackwater. This gentleman is in Blackwater. He's just up the street, so it's not really a far distance that we have to take him. We'll probably be able to drag him down the street by his feet. I do have to regroup with my horse, though, to re-equip myself. He's at this work site just over here, so this ought to be interesting. Yeah, I actually have more respect for Dutch than I have for Strauss. Or at least Dutch could fight his own battles too. Like Strauss just pointed a finger and told everybody what, and told Arthur more specifically, I guess, what to do. It's nighttime, evening, so there's not a lot of gentlemen around the work site. John's just gonna take a stroll. I guess it's unfair to say that Dutch was less educated. Why is the... Oh, there's two different work sites. Okay, I was wondering why there was another yellow cursor just up ahead there. I don't see him in this work site. But yeah, I do think that Dutch was less inclined to really know what he was doing. And just kind of had Micah and some other evil people whispering in his ear. Whereas Strauss, he was the mastermind himself. I think that's the better way to put it. And he was the one... Oh, that's just a cat. That's just Garfield taking a nap. Don't make too much noise, you stupid thing. So he must be at the other work site. We're just acting casual. Just going for a casual evening stroll through Blackwater. Nothing quite like it. Once I get back on the main street here, I'll definitely lower my gun so as to not attract too much attention. I don't know what the cop situation is like here in Blackwater. How dangerous it is to get involved with the law. I hear somebody inside. %, that's him. What the hell?
What's going on in there? Huh? Give yourself up! You don't have anything on me! You want to take a bullet for a petty crime? Stop! There is no crime!
Did you not see me? Fíjate, idiota.
No, you watch out. God damn it. I don't have a clear shot on him just yet, and I don't want to shoot him. You have to capture him. He's just up ahead. He doesn't see me around the corner, so as soon as I peek my head around this corner, the chase is on. What else do I have besides my knife? Oh, we're going after him with that hatchet. You better believe it. Like Freddy Krueger. That was a hatchet, right? He still doesn't see me.
Okay. You got me, okay? This is all a terrible mistake. I changed my mind. I can't go to jail. I didn't do anything.
Oh, Christ, I gotta get my, damn lasso? He hurt his leg on the fall, you dummy. Missed him. Yeah, I guess John Marston coming at you with a hatchet would be a pretty scary scene. Gotcha. God, did you really have to make a scene in front of everybody at... Oh, I just let him
It's all
go.
circumstantial.
I was trying to see what time it was.
Ridiculous.
I'll just get him again.
Cool off a little.
Oh, just let him go accidentally again. There, that's got it.
Down. Let's make sure you can't run off anywhere else.
Or maybe I'm playing games with him, who knows. So, this is a unique bounty mission in the sense that we don't have to mount him on our horse, on the back of our horse.
Here we go.
Be gentle.
Like a hood or a trunk ornament. We actually just get to carry him in
The
front of
indignity.
all...
Think about it. Did you really see anything? It was dark. Many shadows. The frame of the building was in your way.
You're the one that looks like an
taking
idiot.
something,
You're the
me,
fool.
A respectable fellow.
Shut
An
up.
upstanding citizen. Or was I tying my shoe?
The only thing about carrying him over your shoulders, you can't
The
hit
burden of
him.
Proof is on the prosecution, and if you give false testimony, that might be a civil matter.
Shut up.
I am not above suing for defamation.
Oh
And
my
maybe for
goodness
assault as well.
gracious.
I know what I saw. You're a goddamn thief.
He was stealing. We caught him in the act of stealing at that work site. Looks like they were building another home or residential building, perhaps, something like that, and maybe another business.
You treat a gentleman like this?
So, I mean, we have proof. You know what I should have tried to do is capture proof of it. I should have tried to take a picture. Now we just get to take a stroll with him down the same streets we just chased him through. And I'm in no hurry to get there.
I am a respected business person.
Not anymore. How kind of a name is Herman Zizendorf? Well, it's another $30 in my pocket. And frankly, it's another blip off my radar. Quite literally, though.
My lawyer will hear about this.
Oh, I don't like this.
This
Take
is
our
the police
sweet
station.
ass time.
You might need a rest.
This is an embarrassing mistake. My
Oh,
good
yeah?
name will be ruined.
Shut it.
I should have dropped him in the ocean. We have two choices right now. We can drop him in that little lake over there. Ocean, what am I talking about? We can drop him in that lake, or we can bring him to the sheriff's office. We'll bring him to the sheriff's office. We'll be...
Caught this one dead to rights, didn't I, Mr. Zeisendorf?
Mr. Chief, I took a wander through construction. It's a mistake.
Enough of you. Put that German in the cage.
Put that German in the
Innocent
cage.
Until proven.
Quiet.
Just get in the cage and shut it.
There. Settle in.
I would hope I had the kind of moral compass to not... Whoops.
You got your man, and here's your money.
If only they was all like this.
A crime is a crime.
I saw that. You were paid to give false testimony. But this won't hold up in court.
Oh my god, he doesn't quit, does he? would hope I have the kind of moral compass to not drop a hogtied man in the lake. A hogtied wanted man in the lake. Alright, so that is pretty much all we got going on here. Back at Beecher's Hope, we have another Uncle mission. But other than that, it's the 2 bounty poster missions in Rhodes and Saint-Denis. Albert Mason has another section to his mission, another portion of his mission of the wildlife photography. But that's going to be out east, I believe, the last time I saw it. It's like dawn right now, so not all of these missions are available. And I've been told to make the trip back up to Marco Dragic's cabin to potentially explore the electric lantern. So I guess that is... I can check right now and see if we have the electric lantern. I have a light. That's my lantern, but it is like an electric light. So I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure about that. But if one of the graves takes us up that way, I will be more than happy. We won't be needing that to address that and hit up Marco Dragic's hood and his crib and check things out. That's all the cool kids are saying. Okay, so I guess the first thing to do, I know the first random encounter is in around Valentine, so we'll try and hit that. And then we will also try and go after our first grave here. So 4 encounters, 9 graves in total. So we'll just head up to Valentine. I won't tell you. I mean, some of y'all will probably know which grave I'm going after by the direction I'm headed. If you've all played the game multiple times or watched it multiple times. But I won't tell you whose grave it is that we're going to see until we get to the grave and then talk about it a little bit further at that point. So it's going to be a little bit of a ride from here to Valentine. I hope everybody had a tremendous Easter weekend. I know under these circumstances it's definitely a little bit different. I hope you continue to follow any and all precautions set out by your local health department to stay safe. That's priorite numero 1. That was the weirdest ever. Did he just pull a gun on me? You dirty bastard. This is kind of taking the scenic route, I guess. Classic Google Maps. I mean, one thing about going to see all of these grave sites, it's not only closure on the characters. I know we've already talked about particular characters quite a bit, so don't need to go into that too much, but we get to see the land and the map basically one last time, and a lot of the real highlights. You know, we'll be going all the way up from the Grizzlies, all the way back down south to Saint Denis. So this is kind of like our farewell tour, more or less, to not only the characters, but the map itself. And I have honestly felt just as connected to the nature in this game as I have to some of the characters. And I would say I'm more attached to the map than I am to some characters. More attached to the map than I am to some characters. Not in like a weird, I'm humanizing the map and falling in love with it way, but more like it's just so well designed, similar to, you know, I was talking about Grand Theft Auto and just being able to drive endlessly in that game because of, you know, how beautiful of an open world that they've created. Goodness knows what will come next with that franchise, but Red Dead 2 is definitely the next step up. It's beautiful. It's every area you go is so unique. No two areas look alike. And it's just riding through it in itself is a blast. It's a lot of fun. So obviously we won't be able to do all of the graves and all of the random encounters in this video. I'm hoping to do to kind of the point of this was to go to just talk about some of the important stuff that we did, kind of highlighting where we are and establishing kind of a foundation for the end of the game. But I just wanted to kind of start. I just wanted to kind of start the graves, start the random encounters, kind of get a feel for what I can expect from them. And then, you know, along the way, if we're passing by some things that we can clean up with Marko Dragic and Albert Mason. Those are the only two stranger missions showing up in my log right now of like available and continuing stranger missions. Perhaps there are other things still going on. Doesn't look like it though. But Albert Mason and Marko Dragic, if we can clean that up along the way, clean up those couple of bounty posters out there too, that's obviously just an extra on top of this. But it'll probably, all of the gravesite visits, random encounters, and cleaning all this stuff up will probably be encompassed in about 2 to 3 videos. I would hope no more than 3 videos to get all that done. I'm aiming for about 2. I like this. It's literally like the John Marston farewell tour. So obviously, earlier I confirmed, or well, I guess Maya B confirmed for us, more specifically, you know, that yes, that map is, I don't know if it's like identical, just like remastered to the map from the original game, but you know, this area is indeed the map from the original game. So think about that. This was, you know, the map, this portion right here, and now it's not only this, but all of this in Red Dead 2 as well. There's the Albert Mason mission finally showing up there. But I think it's also important to highlight okay, so right, that's where Javier has except for Mexico, but we know that's where Javier has run off to, right? And then, yeah, that's what I wanted to highlight. Javier, Bill, and Dutch are the three main characters that John is hunting down in the original Red Dead Redemption in 1911. So this is what, 1907, 1908. So in about 4 years from now, the plot of Red Dead Redemption plays out. And Javier, Bill, and Dutch are the three characters that John is hunting down. I don't know if I'm guessing or reading a foreshadow correctly here, but if that's the case, then we'll probably kill Micah by the end of this epilogue. Hopefully I didn't just spoil the entire epilogue, but it would certainly appear that way. If we're hunting Javier, Bill, and Dutch in the original Red Dead Redemption, right, I think I remember playing the original Red Dead Redemption and going down to Mexico to get Javier. I remember some of the gameplay. I remember some snowy areas from it. It's all coming back to me now. Oh, no. Anyways, right. Okay, yeah. If we're hunting down those three in the original game, where's Micah? No mention of Micah. So, we know Micah is still alive. I have to assume that anyways. Maybe I'm assuming incorrectly, but we have to assume that Micah Bell is still alive and well. I think we might be here already. We're close. So this is really one of the last times that we will see Valentine in all of its unholy greatness. Damn, I am underweight, starving. Not really looking after myself too well, am I here? So before we go to our waypoint there, we will visit one of these saloons here and not only get a bite to eat, but somewhere to sleep too.
I'm real hungry here.
I should thank this rain for giving me a half day.
That's the saloon where we did the gunslinging mission.
Easy. Morning, partner.
I like this one up here on the main street better. We've had some real good times in here. Smithfield Saloon. Oh man, the memories. Getting drunk with everybody. And who doesn't like a saloon that offers meals, room, and a haircut? Like, that is a next level saloon right there. All the other saloons are jealous they haven't thought of that. Sir, I need some food. I'll get some lamb's fry. That's a nice meal for
Can I
him.
get something to eat?
It's not often that we eat in this game, so... It's not often that I eat in real life. No, I'm just kidding.
Stays down.
Okay, so that's good. We don't really need to get drunk. I need to have my mind with me as part of... as part of my farewell tour. We need to find a bed, though. If you were looking for a bed, where would you go? It does say they have rooms. Huh. Very peculiar. Very, very peculiar, I must say.
Morning to you.
Morning to you too, partner. I love that painting. Oh, I'm entranced by that painting. It's speaking to me. I would like to sleep here. Damn, looks like someone's already slept here. Never mind. I don't want their stale crumbs from the night before. Ugh. Forget it. John Marston was just gonna have to learn to not sleep. I mean, I don't think we're really left with much of a choice here. We were able to boost our cores back up relatively. It should buy us a little bit of time. Unfortunately, John is still underweight. I'll need to feed my horse and whatnot as well. I should be able to set up camp anywhere. And if I have some products on me, some meats, poultry, whatever, I can just cook it and do that as well. I don't actually have to spend my hard-earned money to eat.
Good morning.
It's just the easy way, and they're very nutritious and delicious meals. All right, let's go, thief. Yeah, good enough for now. I don't think we need to do... We could go to the general store one last time here in town and maybe see if there's ammunition or health cures or such that I can buy now that I've done a handful of these bounty missions and made some money. We know we're not going to be able to kill Dutch, so we know we're not going to be able to truly avenge
Howdy,
Arthur.
mister. You new in town? I saw you eyeing the liquors you walked in. You know what you like. Some food and things all along the shop and on the counter if you want something to pair it with.
I'm more of a catalog browser myself, mate.
Look.
I've got quite a bit of cash, so I should re-up on all my ammo.
Nice. Enjoy. Same thing.
I think I'll need a bag after all this, sir. Not worried too much about clothing and stuff like that. We don't have as much time to really dedicate
Keep looking.
with John.
Let me know if there's anything else.
Morning.
How are you today?
You ready, boy?
Just thinking, everything has been like a chain reaction of people turning other people, you know, kind of sour and driving them to their extinction or their madness. Like Micah gets into Dutch's ear, and then Dutch impacts
Morning to you.
Arthur and many other people, and it just kind of spirals out of control.
This new century is looking brighter than the last.
Dutch is the face of the operation, but I would like to think that Micah was really... Micah and potentially Bill and Javier were kind of like puppet masters. More Micah, but they were kind of the puppet masters behind the scenes, playing everything out. So, as much as I might say that certain people are just another victim of Dutch, he is just the face. There's a lot more involved than that, for sure. I know that you target Javier and Bill in the first game, but for me, after playing this now, after seeing what happened before the events of Red Dead, I would rather just see Dutch and Micah. Those are the two most important characters for me to see perish by the end when everything is said and done. That would be kind of my main goal now. Bill and Javier, you know, they were just, you know, I think more victims of the whisper in the ear. The kind of reminds me of Westworld. There's a character in Westworld, Dolores, I believe, and when she whispers in certain hosts' ears inside the park, certain robots' ears, they get this sickness. They get her kind of her sickness, her darkness. They become a part of her vision, and she is the main kind of puppet master, though. And that's what this kind of reminds me of in a big sense. Micah gets into Dutch's ear, and then Dutch can get into Javier and Bill, and slowly this sickness just kind of spreads. And we saw that at the camp quite a bit, because there was a clear divide in the camp of people who had kind of been afflicted with this illness, with this quote-unquote illness, and those who were not really afflicted by this illness yet. Anyways, like Arthur. So that I think that's a really good way to explain things as well. Oh my God, it's Mary Beth.
Mary Beth,
John? John, is it you?
how the hell are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good. Yeah,
Abigail, is she?
she's well. Jack's growing up.
Sweet boy.
Not anymore. But he's okay. How are you?
I'm well. I write now. Silly romances, but it's fun. Oh, it's such fun.
Do you?
My pen name is Leslie Dupont. It's sort of French, sort of ambiguous. Well, the books are unambiguously awful, but they sell.
Good for you. I'm so proud.
I still think about you all. That was quite a time.
Yeah. Arthur saved my life before he passed. I don't talk about him much, but I think about him.
Me too. And Dutch?
Ran off someplace.
All aboard!
Such a shame.
Last call!
Oh, anyway, John, I better get on my train. It was really lovely seeing you. Oh, here. It's for you.
Thank you. Take care now.
Bye!
there is one of the random encounters on our farewell tour. It's likely the last time that we'll see Mary Beth. Didn't really know who I was going to run into there. Last time we saw her was just before she left with Pearson and Uncle, as tensions were, you know, kind of mounting, kind of rising back at camp. They all kind of took off as a unit. Mary Beth, I think she deserves to live. I think that she was very innocent in being recruited by the Vanderlyn gang. I don't think Mary Beth has the same kind of mentality as a lot of the, you know, kind of natural born killers, like Micah, you know, in the gang. Much different mentalities. Just another character that was not afflicted, thank goodness, by the awful psychological illness at camp. I think it's a great metaphor to use for everything that happened. So now we're actually going to go to our first grave site. Which is going to be oh, Christ, it is far. Okay. We got to get a move on. It's right about there. We'll make a waypoint to about there. It's going to be awfully hard to traverse our way up there. And we're also going to need an outfit for sure. I don't think I have other outfits equipped. So if I'm going up there, I'm going to need to rent a room somewhere in order to not freeze to death. So I will have to stay at the saloon in order to change my clothes.
How do you do? Yeah.
I'm glad Mary Beth was able to survive, and I'm glad that she is doing. I mean, she's a romance novel writer. Like, she doesn't have that bad guy mentality. She was caught stealing watches and jewelries. She was a pickpocketer, I believe, before joining the Vanderlyn gang, but very petty kind of crimes. Like I said, not really a natural born killer per se. And now she's writing romance novels. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that, you know, she kind of learned from the experience.
Back off, Junior.
Shut up, my God. People in Valentine are so rude. And that she was able to go on and hopefully live a very happy and successful life. Where the hell am I going? I was supposed to stop. That's taking me right up there. I have to try and rent a room, but it wasn't really letting me do that. So let's try again here.
I'll shoot you down. You nearly killed me. What's wrong with you, huh?
Out of the way, tough guy.
I'll beat you senseless!
Yeah, you new to the
What are you doing?
This ends now.
Point that gun at me, and we'll see which bitch you end up in.
He attacked me. What the hell was that? I bumped into him and he attacks me?
Thinks they got grit.
Well, you're dead where you stand, Pilgrim. I need a room.
What's it to be?
Want to get to know me better? All right. So you're not into pretty ladies.
I just stand there and stare at her. I don't know.
I have always said there's nothing wrong with a quiet man.
Why I can't choose to like book a room. Pretty sure I've stayed here before.
Takes a bit to rattle me, but
All a bit too much.
You know what? I got a little bit of money. Let's just hit up the general store and see if we can buy a jacket there real quick. I'm probably just missing something super simple and straightforward right now, but let's just see if we can get a jacket.
Back for some more provisions? I can get you anything in there you need.
I need some clothing. I need a coat. I need something that's gonna keep me warm. Ah, that's actually pretty sharp on
I sell out of that
on
pretty
John
fast.
That's a nice color. That blue is a really nice color. That's a pretty nice color too, but that's like your typical cowboy colors. I want to kind of switch it up a little bit. They're actually all nice. Can I have one of each? I think I actually... Oh, no. Okay. I own this one. But I'm going to switch things up here and try and go... That's a good one. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. And that's a nice one. But out of all of those, I think I'm going to
Got
go
some new
with
things
the
in
blue.
the other ding. That's done.
That was my first instinct. So that should keep me relatively warm. Hopefully. Like, hopefully I'm not going to freeze to death when I go up there.
I'm glad that's taken care of.
Yeah, you know what, John? Me too. I am glad that's taken care of.
You're real helpful, thank you.
And I get one final hurrah with a horse. And it's the best horse of all. Thief. I was so judgmental of the Morgan horse earlier in the game, and my own horse, whom I named Morgan. And now I'm taking a Morgan horse on a cross-country journey. And I know there was definitely some disagreement about how I obtained this horse in relation to the opportunities I had to get it elsewhere. But again, you cannot take the Wild West out of John. Just because Arthur might not want John to avenge him doesn't mean it ain't gonna happen.
Is that all?
I get lost very easily. I've had quite a few cars end up in lakes following GPSs before, so forgive me for... Look at this beautiful river. Oh man. Whoa. The one that I almost just fell into. Be prepared for some mystical scenery, because once you start getting up north here towards the, I almost said the Rockies, the Grizzlies, it becomes impressive. I really wanted to spend some time with this stream. I knew that it would require a little bit of a time investment, and I wanted to think about some of the comments and think about some of the game coming into it, so that I'd be able to provide some insightful feedback back, if that makes any sense. Insightful, that's the word of the day. You always got to have a word of the day. That's how you stay intellectually capable. Today is insightful. That's probably like the 6th time I've used that word in the stream. Gotta love it. Probably some 14-year-old teenage boy staring at his computer screen right now going, nerd, shaking his head back and forth. No. Just no. I'm weird, so sue me. If you haven't figured that out by now, woo. So this is where going up north becomes a little bit more treacherous, because there's paths, but they're not really your typical, you know, defined sand in between two patches of grass path. It's like, whoa, it's very off-road. Here's a perfect example of what I mean by mystical scenery. And also the fact that there's nobody around out here. You could kidnap somebody, bring him up to the Grizzlies, and nobody would ever find you up here. Like, it's so remote, but it's such an off-road kind of journey. The snow here is so high, like it's literally up to John's knees right now. So it can be dangerous, because if you hit a slope that's a little bit too steep with your horse, you can slide, you can fall. So we're gonna try and take it real easy here. Y'all are probably like, who the hell's grave are we going to see way up here? And for a lot of people, this might be the least exciting grave of the graves that we're gonna go see. Like, look at this. If I go just a little bit too much to the left here, that is what you are plunging down to. Because just a little bit to the left, it becomes too steep there for the horse to be able to kind of hold on. So again, I'm just going to try and take my time here. Look at the draw distance, how far away you can see. It's incredible. This game could have the worst story of all time. And it wouldn't even matter. And look at that, as we're getting to a higher altitude here, it's starting to snow a little bit. My waypoint, my cursor, my GPS, whatever you want to call it, should be set to the right area here. I appreciate, you know, I do want to really thank you again, Maya, for not only the insightful comments, but identifying, actually going the extra mile and identifying all 9 grave sites, all 4 random encounters. Without knowledge of some information, of a lot of this information, really, you know, the quality of my streams would be nowhere near where they are currently. So, really, a big thank you. So the other 3 random people that we're going to encounter, and I don't know who they are. The graves I'll know one by one who we're going to see. The people that we're randomly encountering, not exactly sure who all of them are. You can probably take a wild guess for a few of them. We know some of the ones we just talked about. We've already seen Uncle, but Pearson and Tilly. Some of the people who kind of escaped last minute from our final Vanderland camp. It is pretty cold up here. I don't think I'm losing health as a result of that. I'm not. I am warm enough. My cores are staying intact for the time being, so that's good. Whoops. We can go a little bit quicker now that we're on a little bit flatter ground here. It's getting a little bit harder to see. Visibility is decreasing as the snow increases, the higher we go. You've got mail. Only you AOL kids will understand that. Who am I kidding? I was never an AOL kid. I remember dial-up though. MSN Messenger. Anybody with me? Damn, this is a hell of a track. I actually, you know, with how vast the Grizzlies are as an area, I mean, when you think, we're actually getting pretty close now, when you think about Ambarino as a state, I feel like there's so much unexplored territory. Truly, truly. So we have basically climbed the side of the mountain here. And we are headed to Spider Gorge. There's a glacier right at the top of the glacier there. The top end by the glacier. I do know where the other random encounter, despite not knowing who I'm coming across with those other random encounters, I do know that they're in Ennisburg, Saint Denis, and Rhodes, so I know kind of the general areas. So again, we're not hitting those now until we're going to see the graves out there. Once we start hitting the graves out east, then we can start to see those random encounters. But that one in Valentine with Mary Beth, that was a good start. And now we'll try and nail our first couple of graves here. And we'll keep referring back to the map to make sure, as I said, to not miss the Marko Dragic content, the Albert Mason Stranger content, and the rest of the bounty posters.
Hey, easy.
Truthfully, I have enjoyed the bounty posters. It's a really, really cool side thing. There was obviously a comment about how a lot of people dislike that, you know, in the epilogue, a lot of the missions involve you doing bounties with Sadie. You know, whereas I guess a lot of people think that, you know, that's already been visited in the game through the bounty posters. Maybe it feels a little bit tedious, a little bit, you know, not very fresh. But I actually enjoy them because of how much of a backstory and how in-depth that they actually are. Can I jump across here? Oh, yeah.
Easy now.
A little glitchy, I'll admit. But we're across. Oh man, do you hear that? My PlayStation is screaming, trying to load all the snow. Oh, see, this is what I'm saying about having to be careful. Whoa. About... Ugh. We did the 10 rock carvings. If you haven't... You might not be able to get up that steep hill. We might have to go up this way a little bit further now. Just go, just go. Just go. Full throttle. Full throttle. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh. Okay, my horse's stamina is empty. I don't want to kill my horse, so... Oh, shoot. It's a little bit steep right here. Whoa. It's just hard to get the grip. Oh, shoot. Ah, damn. We do have to get up there. We're not going to be able to get around that. We got to go around, no duh. So we'll have to... Yeah, my allergies are really getting to me. Holy Lord.
Good.
We'll have to actually go down. We'll have to be careful here to go very slowly back down, maybe in our own tracks here. That was my navigational mistake. My apologies. Yeah, we collected 10 rock carvings. Check it out if you haven't in our extra content Red Dead playlist. If you just can't get enough, especially in between uploads, there is a few hours of extra content there covering some side stuff, and you can kind of revisit it with Arthur. So doing 9 graves and 4 random encounters should not really be too much, and again, it's more important than extra content. This makes all the difference. Bringing this to my attention, you know, bringing the ability to go see these graves, their existence, bringing that to my attention is huge for us to bring closure to this stream. Massive. And it's my mistake for not doing enough research and coming into my streams, but, you know, once again, my community coming up big to help out here. We're all in this together. Community feedback is necessary. So right now I've got some wolf chasing me.
Whoa, none of that.
Local wildlife, screw it. So maybe I'm still not... Holy Christ. It's steep here. It's too steep. It's difficult because your map gives you a very specific direction to go, but we're off route now. This is what I mean about being off-road. This is extremely treacherous terrain. I really don't know my way as well as maybe I should. We haven't been up here a lot, though. So once we get around here, yeah, now we should be able to ride up. We should be good now. There shouldn't be anything too steep for us. It should be a relatively simple journey. Yeah, this is only grave number 1. Hopefully they're not all this remote. That was definitely a concern for me coming into these streams. You know, the accessibility and the difficulty of tracking down these graves. I mean, we're in the middle of the wilderness at 9 o'clock at night. With virtually no protection. Other than some guns. We're all by ourselves. It's definitely dangerous. And, you know, I certainly weighed the pros and the cons, but, I mean, a lot of these people deserve one final shout out. It's going to be a lot more difficult to see because it's nighttime. I can't tell if that's just a rock or not. It's an awfully odd shape if it is. You have to really zoom in here and get no, it's actually... Damn, I should be standing right by it. It should be, like, maybe right behind me. Watch it be, like, right here. Oh, there it is. Alright, so our first grave is Jenny Kirk's grave. Let's see if there's a little kind of internal monologue or whatnot here first. I think it's important to maybe just take a moment of silence, observe a moment of silence with each of these graves. I think there's some importance to that. Damn, Jenny, you were a bitch to get to, no lie. Jenny is not featured at all in the Red Dead Redemption 2 campaign. However, she is mentioned on multiple occasions. Supposedly, Jenny had a fling with Lenny, or rather Lenny had grown attracted to her during their time at Blackwater. But obviously this big robbery or whatever that took place in Blackwater on the boat before the events of the Red Dead 2 campaign, she was injured and unfortunately died before she was able to reach Coulter. So fitting that we visit her first because she was likely the first kind of character to die in what would soon be a chain reaction of deaths in our gang.
Hey, buddy.
I think there's an achievement as well for getting all 9 graves, so that'll definitely be worth going after as well. And I believe it does go towards the 100% completion of the game, which is also important. So hopefully these graves are kind of systematically listed here with the source that I'm using anyways. One can hope. Okay, so now we're actually going to the aforementioned Coulter, which is just a little bit south of us here. Okay, so they are definitely systematically placed for us. So this is going to be grave number 2. This will already be grave number 2 out of 9. And again, I won't tell you exactly who it is until it's revealed live here with John. So they want us to have to cut over the mountain here, I think. But we just have to keep riding, kind of, if we just keep going south here, we should hit Coulter. I can't remember if Coulter is the old abandoned mining town that we stopped in the prologue and called camp, or if it's a legitimate live town. I think it's that abandoned little town here. I could be wrong though. I certainly haven't been to Coulter in a while. Wow. To have a grave way up here in the mountains, the glaciers. It's cold all the time and it's hard to get anybody to come visit you. Let's just hope Arthur has a much more ideal resting place than that. Oh boy, I think this is definitely gonna take an emotional toll on me, I mean.
Easy now.
Wow. Check this out. This is Coulter. This is where... I can't remember if this is exactly where we stayed or... Looks like there's somebody in there. There's some light coming from in there. Wonder if I can get potentially some background information on Coulter. Oh. Wow, we've done 97 missions. Holy Christ. Yeah, is an abandoned settlement, obviously. Yeah, so this is the place that we temporarily inhabited. So this is truly a throwback to the very early on roots of our playthrough. I could have sworn I saw a light. There's nobody here. It's all just abandoned. Very similar to how we left things. It's weird walking through here. Really, really, really weird because we once were here with Arthur before we had even had any clue as to the kind of events that would transpire for the rest of the game. Really mind-blowing when you think about it. Church and all. How is a town like Coulter supposed to thrive in such a remote climate? It's not. So it's time to find our next grave here, and once again it should be pretty close to the waypoint that I have set. This is likely a character It's probably a character that died around the time that we were here as a gang. So it's almost the kind of the path. This is really kind of the path you'll notice as we visit graves that the gang would have taken as we kind of left members behind and buried them. You know, Jenny was way up here, so when we escaped from Blackwater, we obviously went to a very remote location and we're on the run. And so we would have buried Jenny up here and then made our way down to Coulter where we settled, and then this fellow right here, which I'm about to reveal, would have died here. It's literally like following a trail of breadcrumbs, like a mouse. I could have sworn I just saw it. Is that it there? No, that's just the fence. Miles, don't get too excited here. It's like right... Okay. Not quite where I should be. It's cold. Get me out of here. Okay, so here's actually a graveyard. Oh, great. We've stumbled upon the Coulter graveyard at 4 o'clock in the morning in minus 15-degree temperatures. Lucky me. God, imagine somebody riding through Coulter right now and there's just this man standing, staring in the graveyard. If that's the graveyard, they likely would have buried him around here. Oh, this has got to be it here. This is Davy Callender, and this is the one that I know that all of you will be most excited about. No, I'm just kidding. This is kind of a similar situation to Jenny Kirk in the sense that we never really got to develop a relationship with Davy Callender over the course of the game. To think, I mean, at least he's not like Jenny. At least he doesn't have to rest alone. He's got the rest of the people in the yard, in the graveyard, to rest with. All those poor miners who worked here at one time. What a sad place. At least it's quiet and peaceful out here. So we do actually see Davy Callender at the very beginning in the prologue of this game. When we are, escaping from Blackwater, but he dies shortly after arriving here in Coulter. So again, we never really got to. I mean, the conditions up here are harsh, to say the least, climate-wise, and they were hungry. They didn't have a lot of food, supplies, money with them at the time. That's why it was always just one more job, just one more job. The entire game, our main goal was to try and get money for the camp, or our primary goal for most of the game was anyways. They were in a very vulnerable situation, and unfortunately not everybody was able to make it. I imagine Davy was likely an older fellow, probably one of the reasons why he succumbed to the conditions. Okay, this one I think is going to be a little bit, this one's going to be a little bit further, I think. This one is going to be a heck of a distance away, I fear. And going down the mountain can sometimes be just as difficult as coming up the mountain. So there's our Rhodes and Saint Denis bounty poster missions. We're going to have to do them and the Albert Mason mission soon. Once we start visiting graves, there are a few down in the Saint Denis area, so we will definitely go and see them. We should maybe go and do at least one more grave here as part of this. So the next one y'all might like a little more. Y'all might like a little more. Okay. This one's going to be a little bit further away for sure. This is going to be grave number 3, and the good thing about this is that we're going to be able to hit some of the random encounters in the area as well. So we have a random encounter that we're going to hit at Rhodes, and then we'll also get the grave site by here. So let's try and find the waypoint here. Where would it be? Okay, so it's like right about there. That is literally how far we have to trek, and I'm going to make that trek right now. We'll stop in Rhodes and freshen up and sleep and eat just like we did in Valentine because we do have another random encounter there, but let's get this long trek out of the way so that we don't have to focus on that as part of our next video. We'll do one more random encounter here. We'll do one more grave and talk about him a little bit. Oh, I just gave away the sexual orientation of our next grave. So then we'll have 3 graves down, 6 to go, 2 more random encounters to go. We'll have the option to do a couple bounty poster missions. And the Albert Mason mission as well. And if we work ourselves up far enough to Marco Dragic, we can still check that out too. So we're still just cleaning stuff up. That's it for the graves down here. A lot of them are pretty spread apart. Like there'll be maybe 2 or 3 in a given area, but they are pretty well spread across the map in different sections. I don't think there's any graves towards the Blackwater area, but most of the game was spent played far away from Blackwater, the opposite direction from Blackwater, really. So it makes sense that all of the people that we've lost over time are kind of north and south by Saint-Denis. A couple people up here from our time up here early in the prologue. Obviously, you're going to expect a few people from the Saint-Denis and Rhodes massacres, if you will. Once the snow starts to turn into rock and grass again, I can open Thief up a little bit. like a boat. That's how I say I'm accelerating the horse. I'm opening it up like you're going full throttle on a 150 power Merc. 150 horsepower Merc. So, frankly, it'll probably take 3 videos, this one obviously included, before we can get back to heading out to our homestead by Blackwater to do the Uncle Story mission. It'll probably take about 2 more videos after this to get that done. 1 focusing on the graves and the random encounters, and 1 where I can focus on the missions. So the bounty poster missions, and the Albert Mason and potentially Marco Dragic missions as well. You gotta tell me how much you want to see them Marco Dragic missions, man. That's what that little comment box is for. Well, I feel like the worst of the gravesite visiting is over. I mean, how could things get possibly harder to get to than that? You can see that the snow is starting to decrease in quantity a little bit, and we're starting to see some luscious green space. We'll go with the ambiance here for a while, just to kind of take everything in. Alright, I imagine we're no more than about halfway to our final destination. But once we get down south, I assure you that the vast majority of the graves and random encounters following this will be a lot quicker to get to. Then when all is said and done here, any remaining stranger missions that we, want to do should be done. All the bounty poster missions out here should be done before we return back to our homestead. We're just tying up some loose ends here, paying our final respects, and then heading back to our new ranch. Start a new life. It's serene. Again, you can really see deep into the distance in some honestly great detail. John's story, John's adventure is really only just beginning here. But having played an entire game with John Marston and having sympathized with him so much throughout this game, it takes no time to reacquaint with him and fall for him all over again. And then knowing what his ultimate fate is, that's the worst part. Sad. This epilogue wouldn't have worked if the original Red Dead game didn't exist. If this was the first Red Dead Redemption game, this epilogue wouldn't work because you don't have the same kind of attachment to John. Again, he would just be kind of another guy that we know from the gang. I'm not saying we weren't close with a lot of the members from our gang. We most certainly were. But I think you catch my drift. So, okay, this will tell us how close we are. We're in Lemoyne now. We just crossed state lines, I believe from New Hanover now into Lemoyne. We eradicated a lot of the gangs that were largely participating in day-to-day life down south here in the Lemoyne, Saint-Denis regions. We really went after the head of the snake with some of these criminal organizations, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about that. God, I said I would feed my horse earlier after I fed my fat face, and I forgot to. God damn, I guess I shouldn't say my fat face because I'm underweight right now, but you get my drift once again. Okay, so we gotta do, not Horse Survivor, we need... Yeah, we're gonna go... We got a lot of riding to do, so we'll do a Potent Horse Medicine.
Take more than that to hurt you.
And we'll do a... horse stimulants as well.
You know I love you.
Maybe the Morgan wasn't the best horse to choose for a cross-country trip after all. I'm starting to have second thoughts. Man, 10 minutes ago we were knee-deep in snow. Now we're crossing the tobacco plantations of the south, where you can feel the humidity of the bayou. It's literally the complete opposite of where we just were, climate-wise. pretty funny. We said goodbye to Valentine and Coulter and some other familiar places. Now we'll pay our respects to Rhodes and Saint-Denis. Random gunshots in fields like that always send a little shiver up my spine. Apparently I don't know where I'm going. Who knows how long I've been going the wrong way. This is typical. What can I say? Some of these roads, I tell you, are so hard to find. It's like a needle in a frickin' haystack.
Got the wrong fella.
Let up.
I ain't political.
If you wasn't political, you wouldn't be no federal tax collector.
Looks like we do still have some Lemoyne Raiders to take care of.
It's a state poll tax. Y'all won't take the time to learn the difference.
I ain't gonna listen to your lies.
Hey, partner.
They came out of nowhere, okay? Next thing I was regaining my facilities, tied up here. Please, cut me free. I'm a prisoner of these men.
You got it, partner.
You're free, my friend.
You have no idea how thankful I am.
You ain't home and dry yet. Run along.
I know. I think they hid my things in one of those boxes. Sir, they're yours.
One good thing about pulling up
Guess I'm one of the good guys.
and doing these is sometimes the rewards can be nice.
Good luck to you.
So I don't know why, but I don't have the option right now to open the crate. I think it might have glitched out on me a little bit there. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. We did get some valuables. We got some medicines and whatnot, and some sellables. This is obviously their gun table. never really took much time with these cigarette cards, but I guess they are kind of a neat thing to find throughout the game. It is kind of a unique collectible at the very least. Never spent too much time with it. I don't see a whole lot else going on here. Like I said, I could rest by the fire. I should probably eat something myself right now. We're gonna do some canned corned beef. We'll do some canned peas. Get them greens in ya. Oh, apparently I want the baked beans too. It's really coming down now. Sorry I had to do that. I had to help that poor politician out. Of all people for John Marston to help out, and he helps a politician out. Boo.
Hey, friend.
Hey, friend. We haven't really done a lengthy 2-hour stream like this in quite some time, so I'm glad that I've kind of got a vision for the end here and cleaning everything up and making our last final push here as John Marston. So the grave is supposedly up here.
Whoa now.
It should be around here somewhere. Yeah, we're definitely... Might be to my left here. Ah, this is a much nicer resting place than some of the other resting places that we've seen so far. It is kind of in the trees here. Is that it there? That looks like it's it right there, yeah. Man, you could totally and very easily miss that. Okay, so our next grave, Sean Maguire. He actually is one of the more lovable characters in this game, no doubter about her. This is obviously close to where our Clemens Point camp was when we were set up in the Rhodes Saint-Denis area. This was one of the most standout this is, sorry, just got a text. This was one of the most standout periods for me. One of the most standout camps for me during the game was Clemens Point, doing the missions with the Braithwaites and the other family, the Greys. That's right, and getting involved with Sheriff Gray and being deputies, recognized deputies in Rhodes. It was just, this was one part of the game that really did stand out for me, and I really appreciated. So Sean was not with us back in that snowy terrain up on the Grizzlies when we made our way down to Coulter and nestled up there. He was held up in Blackwater, and it wasn't until we got to our Horseshoe Overlook camp, and I remember the mission. We were going to the mission point, and along the way there was a carriage carrying a prisoner on the way by, and it was at that point that we broke Sean out, and he reintegrated into the camp. Unfortunately, Sean was shot dead in Rhodes, just nearby, when a few of the gang were ambushed. Yeah, that was not a particularly hot point in the game for anybody. I remember Sean having a real sense of humor. Rockstar describes him as a cocky young Irish thief and stick-up man. He tried to pickpocket something from Dutch before the events of this game, and it's rumored that Dutch, instead of punishing him, discovered him and brought him to the group. So yeah, I think breaking him out was one of the more important things. After his rescue, I remember we had a big celebration party back at camp. That was one of the first like parties we had as a gang, and that was at the Horseshoe Overlook camp. Right, okay, so it was in the mission with Bill, Micah, Sean, and Arthur. We were doing a potential security job for the Greys, but the Greys had figured out that we were already infiltrating them, and so they had hired guns and ambushed us, and that is unfortunately when we lost Sean. Here's Clemens Point, where where we would have been set up as a gang, just over here. And this is where Sean's final resting place is. So yeah, that was a pretty big one in terms of larger characters in the scope of the game. Sean Maguire for sure. We've got some more big ones coming up too. I'm sure you can guess some of them anyways. We've talked about most of them in this stream. There's a few of them that we haven't discussed, but right now we have six graves left to visit. We have three more random encounters. We're just going to do this quick random encounter in Rhodes, and then some of this other stuff to clean up. So there's the saloon. We should be able to stay at the saloon in Rhodes, and that'll kind of be our ending place here. Just gotta see. Okay. So we'll actually go to the Rhodes General Store first. Get over here, thief.
All right, my boy.
It was a no-brainer for me to cover this as part of the game, especially as kind of a main installment in our playthrough. The amount of depth to this game is insane. You could really talk about certain aspects of it for days on end. So we'll save in Quentin Rhodes. We stopped getting access to bounty poster missions in Rhodes and in Saint-Denis because of our notoriety in the bayou and the surrounding region once the Vanderlinde gang was kind of discovered and known in the area. And then once we had the Wanted Dead or Alive on the entire east coast of the map, it was pretty much game over in accomplishing anything like that over there. But now, with several years having passed, no way the sheriffs in Rhodes or the officers in Saint-Denis will recognize John. No way in hell. Wonder if the Braithwaites or Greys may catch a whiff of John Marston in the region. I just want everything to be peaceful. Just paying some respects. That's all I'm doing. I ain't gonna be sticking around here for very long. We have a new stranger mission that is apparently available to us in the Rhodes region. That is interesting. Cleaning up, like I said.
Tina found herself a necklace in Jim's pocket the other day. Ruby the size of a wrist.
John Marston? I don't believe it! I thought you were dead.
Pearson, what are you doing here?
No way.
Welcome to my store. How can I help you?
Are you serious?
Yeah! Beats the old butcher's table, doesn't it?
Good for
What
Pearson.
can I get for you today, sir? How the hell are you?
Pretty good. Got some land in Great Plains. Trying to get a small ranch going.
Really? Wow, good for you. Staying out of trouble then?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm trying.
Woo! What a turnip for the books, huh?
Now, take some pity on a man with one leg but a huge heart. I tell you, I've seen some things.
Man, it was really nice running into Pearson. Pearson could have a little bit of an attitude, I guess, maybe throughout parts of the game. Very strongly opinionated, maybe that's the right way to say it, but at the end of the day, he definitely holds a special place in my heart. He provided a lot for us as a gang. So much of what I ate in this game was his stew, and I relied on it being able to come back to camp and like basically immediately get all of my cores back up by eating it. And I mean, I definitely played a part in that with Arthur hunting and bringing him a lot of the supplies and materials, but Pearson looked after us all, and definitely really appreciative of that. So that's another random encounter. We have half of the random encounters to go. There's one in Saint-Denis, and there is one in Annesburg, which is going to be just a little bit further north. We can obviously do the one in Saint-Denis, but we also still have 4 graves to see, some of which are in this area. And we also have the 2 stranger missions and a couple bounty missions that we want to clear up. So I kind of want to just do things as I'm going through, so I'm going to end the video here, but we will make sure to get all of that stuff done that I just mentioned. Next time, we're going to try and rest up a little bit at the saloon, and then we've got a bounty poster mission. We have a brand new stranger mission out of Rhodes to do. We'll try and hit up at least 2 or 3 more graves, and maybe get started with that random encounter in Saint-Denis as well. We definitely still have our plate full here with stuff to do, so All right, from all of us here, may our cross-country trek continue. I'll try and make the videos a little bit more portionable going forward in covering some of this non-story content, so that it's not, you don't have to swallow 2 hours of content like you just did. I'll try and be a little bit more reasonable with that. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as I know you always do. Keep that convo going, and I'll see you on the other side.